Death is the greatest reminder that we are alive. My father passed away this year, and no matter how I look at his life, I find that it was beautiful. Some of us are born in the deep end, like my father was, whose life was turned on its head from the very start. Sadly, a bad start often leads to bad decisions throughout life, of which he was plenty guilty. But in the end, until the very end, in his own broken way, he still tried to make things right. This is what I believe makes life beautiful. Trying until the very end, no matter how futile others might think your life has become. My father died of an unnatural cause, but somehow he knew that his time had come. He made so many mistakes, and he called around and asked for forgiveness very close to his death. Life is no fairy tale though, and for many consequences there is no escaping. His story is complicated and not mine alone to tell. But what I can acknowledge is that I have seen that God loves even those we have written off long, long ago. He calls to those we see as lost cases. He calls to all of us. Our ability to change, no matter how small that change might be, is a reminder of our divine calling to live. It is a reminder that God has woven a golden thread into all of time, a thread of hope that will always survive in the land of the living. Sadly, we often live in such a way that we can no longer see this thread. We don't feel it tugging at our hearts, calling us forward. We sublimate, we escape, we cover up, we lie to ourselves. We live with a victim mentality, we blame shift, we forget about God. We fill our time or allow our time to be filled with things that render us unable to take responsibility for ourselves, for our own lives. My father's story is that of a lifelong alcoholic. I will never be able to identify all the reasons he became an alcoholic in the first place, but I know that he tried again and again and again to break free. He tried until he died, and slowly, some change did come. Even if the changes were too small to restore his life, it did change something greater. It changed his heart, even when his mind and body were already too damaged to be restored. I've come to the realization that life is not about a destination, a goal or dream, or whatever else we might call that place we long to be in the future, because the truth is we all have the same destination. All other so-called destinations are just pit stops along the journey to our last breath. It is not about what we accomplish, what we achieve or gain, our goals or ambitions, actions, activities, or even religious obligations. It is about who we become in our hearts. Life is not endless, so we have to be intentional with our time so that we can focus on the golden thread of hope that is calling us forward, requiring of us to change on a level that is much deeper than merely our behaviors, lifestyles, or goals. If we are constantly filling our lives with things to do and places to go, with activities, tasks, or with bigger goals, be it spiritual or carnal, if we neglect to carefully select the things that we fill our lives with, our lives will fill up, and it will end up being full of things that prevent us from quieting the noise and asking ourselves, who am I? If we cannot ask this question truthfully, we will ignore the golden thread calling us forward. We will forget about its existence and get lost in the fog of all the things that are filling our time on our way to destinations that don't exist or don't matter. Eventually, we would end up being different than before, but never truly have changed. We would have done many things, but never have become.